They don't want what we know out there.
How a person can go from really almost nothing to becoming a millionaire by owning rental properties.
He would always buy these flip houses, and I just remember thinking, this guy is crazy. Why would he buy that house?
In the past decade, there's been a huge surge in the peer-to-peer short-term rental market.
Become an insider. So you have to know the rules before you get in the game.
Every second counts. So make every second count.
Welcome to the Real Estate Jam. Whether you're just beginning or the best of the best, we're glad you're here. We will share successes, failures, and strategies for the action-taking real estate investor. And now to your hosts, JD and Melissa.
Hi guys, welcome to the Real Estate Jam podcast. I'm JD with my wonderful, lovely, talented co-host, Melissa.
Hello. Hello. It feels weird not being together.
Yeah, we're kind of spread out all over the country. Just getting through Thanksgiving. Lots of awesome stuff going on. But I am super excited. Today, we have Rotty on the podcast. Rotty is an extremely experienced flipper, construction expert. He runs the Rehab Depot and also Rotty LLC. And Melissa and I first met him when we were going to work on one of the TV shows, and he was the coach or funder that was speaking to people real. And so often, especially with these high profile real estate investors, there are a lot of talk. Everyone wants to make you feel good all the time. Rotty is not that guy. He's going to give it to you real every single time. And that's the reason we asked him to come on the show and kind of share with us some of the things he's doing. Rotty, thank you so much for being on the show today, man. We really appreciate you making time for us.
No problem. I appreciate that, guys. Yeah, I met you guys on the show. It's good to meet you guys. So, I appreciate you guys having me on and letting me do what I do, which is keep the game real.
And he told us that we had no idea what we were doing with our numbers.
Yeah, on one of the projects.
That's why I get paid so much money, guys. I mean, because people say, hey, I'm going to go blow $100,000 on a construction rehab project or renovation. And I'm the guy that says, don't do it, because you don't have enough money and you have no experience, and there's a lot of hidden secrets that are going to happen. So it's not that I don't want people to find success. Of course I do. It's my delivery method let me just tell you straight up, you're going to fuck this up. Why would you?
Sure. Yeah, it's great. I love it.
That makes you think real quickly, like, maybe he's onto something, which I am, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Rotty, for those in our audience who maybe haven't been exposed to you, can kind of give us a rundown where you started, where you're at now, and then we'll see where the conversation goes.
No, sure. So my name is Ryan. Nickname is Rotty Garcilazo. I'm out of Chicago. I'm in Chicago right now. I've been in the game 22 years. I started my business, the Rehab Depot, at the age of 20. I'm 42 now. So all I know, right? My entire adult life has been rehabbing and flipping homes and investments. I don't know anything else. And we went through the whole circuit of being the GC and then paper GC and then project management. And then we opened up an online academy to teach rehabbing to investors. And then we did consulting, and we did all these amazing things over the years, which basically led me to what I'm doing now, which is a virtual call center. So, this is what we do. Like our forte is construction, right? And our full understanding is the construction from an investment standpoint, right? Because I'm an investor as well. So when I look at certain deals, again, my delivery method is very raw and to the point, because at the end of the day, we need to make money, not lose money. So don't waste my time. I won't waste yours. And this is a very cutthroat game for rookies and for people in coming up to the middle, if not in the middle, who want to scale, and I tell people, get rid of that word. You can't even scale. You can't even do what you're doing in your own market. Stop scaling. So it's one of those things where you got to look at, first and foremost, how to run a business, right? So the three of us, our chosen profession is real estate investing, and I know you guys rehab. So there's construction involved. That means that our responsibility is to learn all three, right? You can't learn two and not one. You can't learn one and not the other two. You need all three, right? There's three separate pillars in this REI: real estate, construction, and investments. So you have to have a whole bunch of financial foresight, of course, and you got to study the markets from two different worlds. I mean, you got to study the market from not only just real estate, what's happening in construction. because they do parallel. I mean, they affect each other. And the reality of everything is like, that's kind of how I was always operating from a construction standpoint. Is I knew construction was everybody's Achilles heel. And for us, it wasn't. I mean, we had our challenges in the early days, but I realized my biggest clients were the hedge funds off Wall Street, and their style of management and the way they broke down budgets and the way they managed. I was like, I could take a little bit of that information and put it in my small little construction company at the time and just become very efficient. And if I became efficient, I'll make a lot of money. And God willing, we became the highest awarded contractor in the game in real estate and crazy stuff. So we use that as leverage to say, okay, well, what we can do with this, because I don't want to be in construction physically the rest of my life.
Right.
And God bless you with the brain. So I'm like, what can I do with it? And I said, what if I stop doing it for myself and I start teaching you, the investor and the agent, what we do? And that's where the entire game changed. And that's where like the Rehab Depot really grew up, as we decided to not just take the construction projects for you and do them and perform them. We decided we're going to teach you about rehabbing. We're going to teach you about general contracting. We're going to teach you about how to create a budget. We're going to teach you about how I know the game better than you and why. And this levels the playing field, right? So everybody makes money in the transaction, not just us or not just you. So that's kind of how that idea was born over the years, was how can we provide a better need besides just being the contractors? And that was education. And then education led us to boot camps and TV shows and being on TV and all these different opportunities and speaking everywhere and masterminds and whatever, but everybody's got to start somewhere and climb that ladder, if you will. But I'm a big advocate for, make your mistakes quick, make them. You're going to make them, just make them as fast as you possibly can. Fall forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that. Don't go out and make a bad decision when it's a bad decision, but get those under your belt, those repetitions. It's just like training for sports. It's just like anything else you want to be good at.
Right.
You need the experience. So, okay. So now you talk to me a little bit about your consulting company. What are you guys doing with that? The project management, how is that working?
So, the consulting aspect of it was born because it was a favor for a high-level friend in the industry. And he's like, hey, man, will you fly to Detroit? And this is probably 10 years ago. He's like, will you fly to Detroit? He's like, I'll fly you to Detroit. Can you fix my rehabbing? Like, my project managers don't know what they're doing. I don't know how to train them. I've got like 40 properties sitting there. I'm like, sounds like a nightmare, dude. So I said, all right, no problem. I'll go up there. We'll take a look at it. He was in one of my masterminds. And I said, yeah, of course I'll come take a look at it. So I wasn't even consulting at that point. It happened by accident. Mm-hmm. So I go to Detroit, look at his process or lack thereof, and I realized, wow, dude, like everything you're doing after the real estate trade, after it's under acquisition, after it's under contract is wrong, right? And then I looked at a lot of his properties and walked them physically, and I said, dude, I would never even bought half this inventory. Like, you bought wrong. Like, it made sense numerically and financially on paper, but the construction needs, you can't rehab this house for $22,000. It's a 1907 bungalow in Detroit. And $20,000 to fix the fucking foundation, bro. Like, what are you talking about? And bottom line is, that's why he couldn't get contractors on these jobs, because they're like, dude, what are you talking about? You don't have your budget's not even remotely close, And that's kind of when I'm like, all right, maybe I can do that as an offer, service offering. And we did. So we started consulting all across the country for 10 years. I still do it on the side. I still do it if the need's there, but because we've launched this virtual call center, one, I don't have time, and B, we're kind of already doing that now.
Right.
And I'll talk about that in a minute, but we've been able to funnel the service, the mentorship, the education, the how-to by us doing it, and then you basically receiving it. So you're learning my scope of work. You're learning our budgets. You're learning our management process. You're learning our CRM. So instead of you paying me $30K, $50K to teach you, why don't you just work with us and give us your whole portfolio, and you just, A, we're going to rock it for you, and B, you're going to learn indirectly how things are done, So I started thinking, like, I can't charge people 30, 40, 50K and then have them come back to my call center and charge them again. There's a lot of people in this game who have no problem charging the same client 10 times for 10 different things, when at the end of the day, it's the same fucking difference.
Right.
And I don't like that shit. And I'm the first to say, don't do it. So we don't do it. So that's kind of why I made like our Facebook group free, like our education. People call all the time and go, oh, can I buy your online course? I'm like, dude, we barely even sell it anymore. Just join our free Facebook group. I'm always posting information there all the time anyway, because the way I look at things now is that as you grow a business, and I said this earlier, like real estate investors, you have to understand you're learning how to master real estate and investing and the mind of money and understanding the formulas and percentages and all this bullshit. And that's taskful enough, but you have to understand how to run a business. That's the idea. And I've been saying this since I was blue in the face. And this is why on the TV show I met you guys, I'm like, listen, I'm not here to be your friend. We'll be your friend if we make a deal. But the idea is I'm here to show you something that that maybe stands out to me, that it's a red flag for me that I know might cost you money or it might cost me money. So I do it. But understanding that, when we have a virtual call center now, we're essentially your GC in your back pocket because everything starts with us. We have a simple form that goes out to everybody. You save it on your phone. It's a jot form. It's got like 10 questions about your asset, the one that you want to probably put under contract. I say, let our call center put the budget together for you first, right? Because it'll say, what's your acquisition price point? You put the number in. What do you think your projected rehab is? You put the number in. What's your rent rate or your exit strategy or your ARV? You put those numbers in. Cool. And then it says, give me pictures and videos of whatever you have from your listing agent, whatever intel you got, right? We look at all that in a matter of minutes. And if I say, your acquisition is, I don't know, 99,000 and you think rehab 65 and your ARV is like just under 3, sounds good. But then I look at everything and go, 65 is not going to cut it, dude. You're going to need like close to 80. So I will literally text or email back our clients and I'll say, hey, you said you wanted to be at 65, and you're closer to 80. Let me know if that works. They go, okay, let me go renegotiate, right? So instead of the investor sitting there waiting for a contractor to go get them a number that is not going to be 65,000 in the first fucking place, you come to us and we'll tell you realistically when to even walk away. That's the idea, is we'll tell you, like, this is a bad deal. This construction is going to destroy you. Let it go. That's why it's sitting there for so long. So the idea of we can give a great ballpark in a matter of minutes, not days, weeks, minutes. And then once you lock that up, you got the advantage because you got the Rotties behind you saying, hey, they said it's going to be about 75,000. I can make those numbers work. I mean, I don't want to pay that much, but I can make it work. And then you just text it back, hey, we put it under contract 2 hours later. When there's 35 other investors trying to buy that deal, but they got to look for numbers too. Yeah. So we're the advantage, right? We give you the number. And then once you tell us, hey, it's greenlit, it's under contract, we close in 30 days or whatever it is, great. Our process begins. Then we will break down that budget of 75,000 and it's on a Google spreadsheet share. So you can send it right over to your lender immediately. And it's all broken down the way hard money lenders love it. So I can say all your categories, here's how we broke down the 75. Our fees are already included under project management. So it's a one and done deal. So once that's done, we start working on getting subs going on the jobs. We have to see what your material selections look like. And we basically are like the Rehab Depot call center is essentially the construction company that you've never had. We're your partner, right? So what do? You send us 1, then all of a sudden you send us 3, then all of a sudden you send us 5. All of a sudden now we're managing millions of dollars per investor because they're like, fuck this, just give it to them, right? I want to buy. I want to buy. I don't even want to hire any more project managers. I'm paying them 65,000 plus incentives. I don't even know how to train those guys. And I tell them, like, I don't want to train them. I've been doing that for 20 years. Why don't you use our call center? Save yourself that 65, maybe even 100,000 on your payroll with incentives. Throw that our way. Let us knock some of these things out for you. So we're indirectly also helping them scale, right? Because now you can take down deals anywhere in the country, no matter where you live, and you can get out of your comfort zone because of us. So if you say, hey, I live in Midland, Texas, and I found a property in Tampa, okay, use us as the bridge. We'll handle everything in Tampa. So that's kind of the unique perspective where I said, how do I take my education? How do I take my boot camps? How do I take the online academy? How do I take the project management and the consulting? And I said, virtual call center. Let us do it for you. You're going to learn no matter what, right? And at the end of the day, let's be realistic. I would say 60% of the people I've trained, and I've trained thousands of investors in 20 years, 60% that I would say they probably suck at it, didn't listen, don't care, and don't have a passion for it, which means zero recipe, should never even pay me to do it in the first place. Right. So now I say, use us. Because I know you don't want this shit. Nobody wakes up and says, my dream is to be a rehab project manager. Nobody wakes up and says that shit. So I created it for you guys. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Now, tell me, so who is your ideal client for that? Who are you looking for? Who does this fit? The guy who's never done a deal before and put something under contract or is looking to put something? The guy who has, does 30 to 60 flips a year? Who are you targeting to provide this service for?
All levels of investors. We have rookies and we have guys who have 14 offices worldwide. It doesn't matter. It's a matter about the asset, right?
Yeah.
We're providing a need, right? We're providing support. Think of us like as an IT back office to any corporate organization. My computer's down, or IT will fix it today. Okay, whatever. That's us. All right. You want to go into construction? Okay, we're your construction support. Send it over to us. So it doesn't matter what level or how much experience they have. Mm-hmm. What we are seeing is a lot of we're seeing a lot more of the elite investors just passing portfolios to us. Like, yesterday we were looking at, and I'm not even gonna bullshit you. Yesterday I was sent personally, because I'm still in the rotation too. Like, I launched this in March of this year. I built this 2 years ago, but I launched it, right? 14 months of secret society trying to build this thing. And then I launched it in March. We've got over $10 million under management gross, and we've already netted over $1 million in since March. Like that, just, I knew the need was there. I just had to figure out how to work that business, right? I know the information. I know the data. I know my skill set. I know what I can train my teams to do, but I need to learn how to run that type of business. So I advocate for everybody, but I also take a dose of my own medicine, right? So I spent 14 months understanding how to run something like this. Like, what does that look like? What's the complications? And I realized I couldn't use virtual assistants from Indonesia and shit like that. I need fucking Americans who are retired project managers, who are older, stay-at-home moms. And I'm like, these are the people I need who could speak like this all day long and put ease and comfort in our clients, right? Which are you guys. So essentially, when you look at all those things, it's a blessing in disguise. However, our avatar, I'm telling you, are probably the bigger players right now who just want to hand us buildings. Like yesterday, they handed me a 14-unit building and a 21-unit building. I look at the information quickly because, like I said, I'm in the rotation too. I take the bigger stuff and the new construction stuff until I can bring up my team to a higher level, of course. But I was looking through some of these numbers and I said, okay, if I can keep your numbers between 15 and 25,000 a door, right? Logic. And then see, what other things do we need? Is it a parking lot? Which one did? And I said, okay, cool. Based on current market trends, one was at like 400,000 to renovate, and the other one was at 6.25 to renovate. I told him that within an hour. He locked that shit up on both of them within 2 hours. He's already buying where I've got teams already in Mobile and Birmingham, Alabama, because I've got a couple million down there under renovation. So I'm like, I sent those guys. I said, go verify my numbers real quick. So they go there, they FaceTime us. It's very virtual. Like they go there and I say, hey, listen. I go, how much do you need to actually finish that project? I already know what I need. And he's like, oh, I need about 450,000. I said, cool. We're going to put it at about 6.25 though. So we're good. So we're safe there. And that's when we said, okay, with the difference, let's put a parking lot in. Let's put fencing in. Let's put security in. So the way we operate is strictly because of our pure knowledge. We can move fast. I don't have to ask anybody for favors or questions, right? I can just say, hey, you're in town. Go check out the zip code. I'm already putting in the offer. That's a game changer right now. So my focus clearly right now is just continuing to train my teams and keep people in their lanes. Like I've got single family project managers. I got multifamily project managers. I've got new construction project managers that I'm developing as well. But these are your everyday people that have been in the game for years, just like I have.
Yeah.
Okay. So
it's incredible.
Let me ask. So like yesterday, I have a new client. They live in Virginia. They want to buy here. So step us through just a little bit of how that works. Would I send them to you? How does that work?
Repeat. Do me a favor, Melissa. Repeat where your client is and where they're buying.
They're in Virginia. Okay. They want to buy here in Navarre Beach. Navarre Beach. Yes, sorry. Navarre Beach, Florida.
Okay. So essentially, this is what they do. I would send you or them the form, and I'd say save it. I actually would send it to you too, and just say save this on your phone and forward it to all your clients. Right? It's the same form all the time with the same questions. They fill out this form. It takes 10 minutes. It's all about the property that they want to put under contract. Say they submit it. It comes to us immediately. We look at it. I can look at these things from my phone. I can look at these things from the gym, literally. And my teams do the same thing. And we look at all of these different things. And I say, okay, cool. Give us a few minutes. And I'll say, because in the form, remember, they're going to tell me their numbers or where they project they'd like to be, right? Because oftentimes, your client might say I just use 65,000. It seems like everybody wants a $65,000 budget. And I just laugh about that. Like I tell people all the time, I've never agreed to your $65,000 budget, bro. Just get rid of it. So I just think it's a filler for a lot of people because I know they think it's close to that. It usually is. It's probably in the 70s or 80s because what we look at, and I'll answer your question again, but we go 30, 50, 70, low level, mid level, high level when it comes like single family, smaller homes, anything under 2,000 square feet. So I just do that all day long. I just kind of look and see, do the floor joists need to be replaced? Do we have a big ass hole in the back of the building? Is it brickwork? Because that adds to it. But she just fills that out. It goes to us in a few minutes, whatever her ballpark, whatever her projected rehab is. Let's just say it's 75,000. I'll literally text her real quick and say, hey, it's Rotty. We looked at your budget. You want to do it at 75? I think you're safer at 92. Let us know if the numbers work. That's it. And we ballpark it for them so they can go back to the drawing table with you guys and say, okay, let's put a better offer in or renegotiate or walk away, right? But you can make the decision in minutes, which is light years faster than the competition looking at the same asset. So moving forward, it works. 92 works, right? She puts it under contract. Literally, probably an hour or two later, maybe even you're like, hey, we put it under contract. Closings in 30 days. Cool. We legit will take that 70 or 92 that we created, and I'll break down a budget in an Excel Google sheet so it's shareable, and we'll knock that out. And I'll just say, hey, we're good to go. Then we put you in our CRM system, so you and your client will get invited to Moxo, right, the Rehab Depot, and you'll get invited to your job site. And we start putting in information and updating where like, we're talking to subs, and we've got your scope of work here, and we've got your budget here. Literally doing everything that you would have to do. Literally doing everything you'd have to do.
That's one. It's like a do it yourself or
Rehab in a
do it
box.
for you. Yes, exactly. Rehab in a box. I like that. We get so many investors, especially out of state investors, looking for short term rentals down here in Florida. That they need to, one, you got to find a distressed property and buy it at a discount, and it needs to have some ability to force appreciate through rehab. But so many of them are first time investors, newer investors, don't know the area. And really it's a service that I think a lot of our people would benefit from, whether they're investors, or retail clients. So I think that's
100.
That's
Well, I mean, right now, I just got an investor who just texted me a rent roll. He's like, dude, do you guys want to buy this and renovate it? I'm like laughing. I don't even know who this person is. And I know a lot of guys, people in this game. I'm like, I don't even know. It's a 205 number. That must be Birmingham. We have so many houses out there. But my point is like, once people realize where we're at, everybody starts to call. This will be, that's why I said this will be $100 million venture, because I'm going to sell it. I'm not going to be in this forever. I want to put 4 more years into this. At year 5, get rid of it and sell it to a much, much larger entity naturally.
So then, I'm sorry, I still have a follow-up because I have this so much to happen. So then would you put a team in place and so they don't have to deal with any subs at all?
100%.
Okay.
We do that now. So we everything we've ever taught, we do. That's why I said, why am I going to teach you when we're doing it? That makes no sense to me. So we have I have 2 separate Google Sheets going live. I have an internal one for my teams and I, where we have our contractor list per city. And like right now, I have my own to-dos, right? I've got Jacksonville, Citronelle, Caroline, Pavin, Reed, Pike Road, and Webster. I've got 7 scopes and budgets to create here today, right? I'm looking at my to-dos that are assigned to me. And then I have to put those together. And then once that's done, then we go look for subs in about 6 different markets. Look, this is what we do.
Yeah. So now they are getting it. You are hiring the subs. Are you negotiating with the subs? Are you doing all of that kind of stuff?
We are. So let's take $100,000 budget, right? Our fee is 12% of any size budget, right? So that's 12 grand off the top. So the budget really is 88. That's really what we have in the budget to get going, right? Because we're taking the project management fee. So we charge 12%. So it's 100,000 all in. So really it's like 88 and change remaining in the budget. So us being us, knowing the construction game, right? I know where all the markups are going to be. I know where they're going to bullshit and fuck shit up. I know all the shit they're going to do. So we call them on that. And I'll say, listen, here's what we're going to do. And I'll tell like my girl, Lexi, one of our top PMs, I'll say, listen, offer that to these contractors for 70, start at 70, right? And let them come up, right? Because oftentimes not everybody's price points are the same. That's what people don't realize. Not every contractor is the same. Not every market is the same. Not every guy's skill set is the same. So you get paid for what you are. If you're great, I'll pay you to be great. If you don't, you're going to get paid average at best. But the reality of that is, we offer it and say, okay, I'll tell Lexi, like, offer this between 70 and 75, let me know. She'll go put 3 guys on the job to go walk it. She does her FaceTime with them too, or their call through the system, blah, 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 blah. And then we kind of come to a negotiation. So maybe we awarded or sold the job at 78,000. Good. We have 10 grand still technically in the budget for change orders. See what I'm saying? Yeah. So we do all the negotiating on behalf of you, right? Because that's what we would do anyway.
Right.
So literally the way we run a construction company, we're just doing it for you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so now I'm using hard money or something like that. You guys are able to say, hey, it's time for the next draw and that kind of stuff with the project management, making sure that the certain the milestones are getting hit, and then are you?
Yeah, so we do something we do something very unique. Yes, we do something very, very unique that nobody does. So when I break down, I mean, I learned this from the hedge funds 20 years ago. Okay, that's why we were so good, and that's why we're number one. They would give us a budget. The hedge funds would award us contracts. We didn't bid shit. They would say, take it or leave it, 50 grand. But they would break it down to a point where I could see what they're allotting for X amount, right? Some are higher, some are lower, but you always made money. And then it would say 15% GC fee. So I always knew I was making 15% right off the bat, right? And they had it down to a science where their average rehab was literally between probably 50 and 70, right? So 15% of all of that seemed to keep me between $2,000 and $4,000 per property all the time. And I was good with that. Then I learned that they just give it to you 50-50. I was like, okay, I'm good with that. Then I learned that they manage all of the material subs themselves. We just got to call the vendor when we're ready for windows or screens or flooring, right? I was like, what a system. I mastered all of that, right? So that's why we were able to become the number one GC in rehabbing in Chicago, because I was just copying them. I was like, this is what they do. Why can't we do it? So we still do that. So one of the things that I would do is we would have our awarded budget to the Rehab Depot. And then if I wanted to award it to 123 Construction, I didn't want him to have my same budget. So I'd have to create a separate budget that was awarded to him. So if my contract was 50 grand and I awarded to him for 42.5, his budget needs to reflect 42.5, right? So every time I would invoice a draw, we get paid and he gets paid. Make sense?
Yeah.
So we do the same thing now, where if I sent you guys your budget for property A, right? It's about 24 little line items, whatever. And it says 50,000 and I awarded to one of our subs for 42.5. Then I duplicate the same spreadsheet and everybody can see it. I duplicate it and say GC copy. And then I mess with the numbers a little bit and start taking away things, because sometimes I'll put a landscaper on it before the sub gets there. Sometimes I'll have the roof done before, whatever. So I start taking away the money to come back down to 42.5. That budget of 42.5 budget sheet gets sent in the contract package along with the scope of work to the contractor. So they'll never see our big numbers, right? That's proprietary, right?
Yeah.
The only people that get to see that is us, you and I, right? It's our property together. You bought it, we're going to manage it. So we know the numbers. They don't need to. They just need to know that if they could do it at 14.5, here's how that reflects. Here's your scope of work. Here's your contract package. So that's kind of how we do it. And we do it this way because once they sign the contract and they've got their budget sheet, then I can say, hey, dude, I need an invoice for line 15, 16, and 17. Get me pictures. Now it's different than just saying, oh, show me progress or the shit that everybody does. There's a true business model to this. So if I share their budget sheet with them, then we're just playing with numbers. When I say I need an invoice for line 2, 3, and 4, send me pictures. Whole different conversation, because now they know exactly what I'm invoicing for and how much. Right? If line 2 is 2,500 and for this, and line 3 is 32 or whatever, they know what I'm invoicing for. Right? So they know they might get a $7,500 draw. I'm actually invoicing for maybe 11.
Gotcha. Yeah,
so there's a lot of high level intellect that goes into, that fiduciary duty of managing money, right? But we've been doing it our whole career, and we've been teaching people how to do what I just explained. And I'm like, this is the easiest thing in the world. That's why when I said I've got to do my scopes and budgets, that's not for me. Ours is already done. I got to do that for our subs.
Right. That's pretty awesome. It's obviously a huge benefit to investors, especially if you've been wholesaling and you're trying to get up to the rehab game, but you don't know how to run your numbers, you don't know how to manage subs, you don't know how to do the things. It's all right. Everybody wants to lump wholesaling and investing and everything together in one business, but it's really two separate businesses. And this is kind of, you're paying for the service of project management and getting this ran for you. Rotty, before we get off of here, do you have any? I mean, you've coached a lot of people. You've been in the game for a long time. Can you run us through some of the common mistakes that these guys are making, especially starting out, and maybe how to avoid some of those pitfalls that everybody gets trapped into? Every paint and carpet rehab isn't 20 grand anymore. What are some of those other benefits?
Yeah. Hotels have changed, obviously. Risk, right? The moment if you're buying it from a seller and you're in their kitchen, right? You're in their couch, or it's an off-market deal and it's vacant, whatever. You got to understand the risk involved. And when I say risk, we literally have a risk wheel. So in our contract package, it's a wheel with pies, right? Slices. And each slice is a risk we need to look at. It could be the GC, it could be experience, it could be the city, location, demographic, time of year, season, weather, right? What are we facing over the next 3 months on this project? All of that factors into your budget, and it also factors into your scope of work. So that's one thing that any rookie, including the veterans who don't do that shit unless I taught them, look at the risk from a construction standpoint. Like, how easy is it going to be able to build that versus how complicated is it going to be to build that? Because that affects time and money. And that's part of your KPIs, right? You're trying to track your metrics of success. All that affects profitability, right? All that leads to more change orders. All that leads to a busted budget. No budget is perfect. They're projected. However, you'd like to remain as close to possible as the original projection. If you're consistently 20 grand over, guess what? Your budget is no longer 50, it's 70. Get used to it. Buy better. So, that's what I'm saying is just the fundamentals on understanding the risk on that. The second thing would be is we're no longer, in my opinion, I've had this conversation every fucking day. We are no longer I need to find an investor-friendly rehab contractor. Fuck all that. This is 2024 coming up. Every contractor in the world has rehabbed a property now. So go on Google and find your contractor and make some calls. It's that simple. You're going to pay a market rate. It is what it is. So I laugh about that. I'm like, the days of Craigslist contractors, if you go on Craigslist and get a contractor and they don't shoot you first and rob you for your fucking shit, they're not getting the job done either. So it's just a lot of things that, from what I see out there, I see a lot of old information still being sold. I see a lot of old information still being taught. That old information is going to make you broke real quick, right? I'm just being so honest. So like for the listeners out there who are either new or in the middle or, do a handful a year or a handful a month, whatever, keep in mind that risk is very, very important. Understanding sub-inventory is a masterful. You need to have a roster of your own. And I hear it all the time. Well, what if I call my own, what if my contractor's got something? What's the whole point? Yeah, I know. But if you fire the guy, who are you going to call? Where's your inventory? So, if your subcontractor that you hire has a falling out with his electrician, who's your electrician? You're going to wait because time is money again. So I always tell investors, A, learn the business, and B, operate as a business, which means who are your backups? In baseball, you don't have one pitcher for 162 games. You got like 9 to 10 on a roster and they're in a rotation for a reason, right? Same thing. Like, people hate when I use analogies to sports. It's fucking perfect. It's business. You need people. You need a process. You need skill. You need practice. That's what this is all about. Rehabbing is a practice industry, but the more you practice, the more you're going to lose.
Yeah, that's that. And you learn and you get better and don't do it without a passion. I think that's one of the things that you mentioned in the beginning. I agree with all of that. Rotty, if any of our listeners or our clients are looking into moving forward and maybe want to check out more information about you guys, what you're doing over there, where can we send them? How can we get them in contact with your service? And
I'll share that jot form with you guys. I'll just text it to you guys, and you guys can share that on if you're going to do the editing and whatnot. Sure. You can have that on the screen. But I don't even mind giving out our work cell. You can text me all day long. My number is simple. It's 847-899-5713. Again, 847-899-5713. And my email is ryan@therehabdepot.com. ryan@therehabdepot.com. You can find me all over social media. On IG, it's Rotty Flipped It. And Instagram, and Facebook, I've got like 4 pages. Rotty, the Rehab Depot, me. I'm not hard to find. I'm like the first 19 pages of Google. It's easy. We got websites, we got landing pages, but it's just too much information. If you want to get in contact with me and get it done right away, literally text me, DM me, or message me. We'll get it done.
And just real quick, what is the project size that makes sense for somebody to use your guys' service? Obviously, a $11,000, $5,000 clean up the backyard kind of thing, probably. Well, I don't know.
That's a great question, but you'd be surprised. I get people that call that need roofs.
Okay.
But that's one of I put a post out there a couple of days ago about what an awesome mistake this was, right? And it's because I was, again, this is all I know is the investment side of construction. I totally slept on the average consumer, the husband and wife who want their dream kitchen, who's calling saying, hey man, I don't even know where to start. Oh, now we got the consumer market. I totally slept on developments and architects calling saying, hey, I need a project manager to help out with this new land development. I'm like, that's not investments. So I realized real quickly, that we could service anybody. So really, there's no job too small or too large. I mean, we've got $1 million projects, and we've got, I think the smallest project we're managing is like 12 grand.
Okay.
And I think that's a roof, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, that's why if you look at our website, I guess I'll give you the website, Rotty Virtual PM, RottyVirtualPM.com. You'll see where we offer administrative project management, and that starts at $849 a month. And that's where we'll do some of the smaller stuff. Like we'll help you file your permits. We'll help you put your scopes together and your budgets together, but we're not going to be working with subs. We're not going to be working with the boots on the ground. You are. So there's different levels to need. So we provide that on the website as well. So to answer your question, really, there's nothing too small, because even if it's small, we can administratively help for $500,
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Yep. That's great. That's a huge benefit. Awesome service. Rotty, we really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. I know you got a bunch of scopes to work and a lot of stuff. Thank you for coming on here and sharing with our listeners.
I appreciate you guys having me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Jam. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information, check out our website, therealestatejam.com, or find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at The Real Estate Jam. If you have any questions, feel free to drop us an email at therealestatejam@gmail.com. See you next episode.